Okay, our speaker this evening is Jim Robison. How do we increase the number of visitors to our club? Jim Robison.
Thank you, Chuck, and welcome everyone. As many of you know, Toastmasters clubs will lose members over time. It's just inevitable that people will be promoted in something else. They no longer have the ability to attend the meeting, or they move away, or something else happens that they no longer come back to the meetings. So we have to be continually adding members. The first step in adding members is getting them to come to the club as visitors. So I gave some thought to the idea of how do we get more visitors to our meetings? The people that I have asked to be on the panel today are people who I know have some experience with Toastmasters clubs and background and have thought about this same question before. So they have ideas, and I'd like to use this as a learning experience. This is not a debate. We're not trying to debate what's the best method to bring people in, but we're just trying to get a lot of ideas of how we can bring people in. And some of those ideas will be very effective and very easy for us to adopt. So I will do a quick introduction of each of our panelists, and then I'll ask them to start off with some comments. Bob Hall is a past president of Professionally Speaking, a Vancouver club, and a past area director in Division G. In 2020, he was the District Rookie of the Year and received a Distinguished Toastmaster Award through Pathways. Denise Badolato, DTM, is a member of 4 districts and 5 clubs in 4 states: Florida District 84, Oregon District 7, New York District 119, and California District 101. She was a club ambassador, was a club sponsor, and is currently a club coach in District 57 in California. Ann Kroetch is a past area director for Area 65. Currently, she is a member of Portland Progressives and New Horizons with both Oregon clubs. She plans to join the Advanced Club PR Masters in August to help improve her skills as she fills her current position as Vice President of Public Relations for New Horizons. PJ Kleffner is the immediate past district director. He was the founding president of Babylon Toastmasters, which has been a President's Distinguished Club for the past 17 years in a row now. He beat us out a little bit because we were President's Distinguished for, I think, 14 years up until just last year when we missed the membership quota. So I'd like to start this off with Bob Hall, just asking, Bob, when you are looking at getting some members into your club, what is one of the first things that you think about for inviting members in? You're currently...
The first thing that I think about when inviting members in is, what is the end result of this? The end result is not just to invite members in. The end result is to get them to join. And one of the things I think we've been pretty good at doing in Professionally Speaking is making the club a welcoming place where people come in, they're a visitor, they immediately feel welcome. They feel like they're a part of the club. They feel like they've been here before and they want to come back. I mean, there's a number of different ways of getting people to come to the club, to visit, even friends and relatives. With Zoom, you can invite people from other clubs to come in. Open houses, there's all sorts of different ways of getting people to come to the club. But I think paramount, once they get there, is how do you get them to come to the next meeting, to be a visitor at the next meeting? And that's I think is one of the things that successful clubs do better than unsuccessful clubs.
Thank you, Bob. Denise, I know you've given this a lot of thought. Maybe that question that Bob just raised is, how do you get people to the next meeting? Be a good one to focus on. Would you like to take that, Denise?
Sure. One of the things that you can do while you have them at the meeting is share the president's agenda. What is the president's agenda? A key instrument for clubs to build membership through inviting guests. So you can't get guests to come unless you invite them. Here's the president's agenda. Please wave if your life has been changed by Toastmasters. Please wave if you talked up Toastmasters to someone since your last meeting. Please wave if you invited one or more guests to this meeting this week. And if they arrived and came, jump up and down. When guests see everybody waving, they're intrigued. What does this club have to offer that everyone is waving? How did their lives change because of Toastmasters? They're going to want to know more. If you invite 1 to 4 guests to every meeting, by the end of the year, you'll never have a membership problem again, because somewhere out of those guests that you've invited and have returned, some will join. As Robert stated, our ultimate goal is for them to become members. You want to convert them. Meetings have to be interesting. They have to be fun. Some have to be exciting. That's how you get members to join and stay. Back to our moderator.
Thank you, Denise. Anne, I know that what Denise just mentioned about inviting guests to come to the meetings, that's something that I know you've given a lot of thought to, as far as inviting friends and coworkers and guests to come to the meetings. What is something that you've thought of as an effective way, or maybe a method that you've approached to try to get people in, an excuse to invite them?
Well, an excuse to invite them might be the theme. We have a lot of interesting themes in this club, and other clubs I've been that seem to work too. For instance, I like the theme we're having today about hammocks. It makes you think about relaxing. It makes it sound like you're having fun, because I think it's really important to make them feel like they're having fun. So find a way to make them interested about whatever it might be. It could be anything from a magic trick that somebody's going to do to something that could relate to them. Think about what's relatable to them. That's really the key. If you think about your friends, think about what they're needing right now. For instance, if somebody's looking for a job, talk to them about how important it is that we have impromptu speaking all the time and how good practice that is. So try to find what they need and meet their needs by asking them to come and enjoy that need.
I like that. Trying to get them to come to enjoy that theme and that particular meeting, that purpose. PJ, have you had success as in your club? Have you found, or in any of the clubs that you're involved in, have you found any particular events or activities that you think are great at drawing people in?
Thank you, Jim. I want to start by saying, I think one of the keys to success is to have a quality meeting every week. And I'll give you an example. In Babylon's early days, we would struggle with membership. And sometimes we had 3 or 4 people show up. We stood around talking and people said, should we cancel? And I said, oh no, we never cancel a meeting. We carry on. And guess what? The guest would walk through the door about the time we were talking about walking out and canceling. And we put on a meeting with how many ever people we had there. And yes, maybe you give a speech and then you stand up and evaluate yourself because you're the only one there who did to do that. It's kind of grim, but we put on a quality meeting. We did the 3 parts, the prepared speech, the table topics, and the evaluations every single week. We did it. We start on time, we end on time, and we moved crisply through the meeting. So that's my first comment, is put on a quality meeting every week. As far as ways to attract visitors, I've seen a lot of clubs that I belong to and other clubs have open houses. When I hear somebody say, come to my open house, I go, yeah, I don't think so. An open house does not attract me. What we found works in Babylon is we did workshops. For example, in 2008, when the economy tanked, unemployment soared into double digits, we did a job interview skills workshop. Essentially, all of the visitors were drilled table topic style questions on typical job interview questions. We got, let's see, I think we had 17 people RSVP and register. 15 actually arrived, and I think we signed up 5 new members from that workshop. But you have a workshop, you give people a reason to come there and some value rather than just say open house, oh, please come and see us, please come and see us, we're lonely, come and visit us. That's kind of how I view open houses. So I would strongly urge you, have a themed workshop rather than just a generic open house if you want to give visitors a reason to come. The other thing I want to comment is I heard this from Denise, I believe, or was it Ann, who said you ask lots of people. You just have to keep asking a lot of people. And it's a numbers game. If you ask a certain number of people, a certain percentage of them will join or not. So you have to play the numbers. Just keep asking. And that word of mouth is the important thing. I bet a lot of your new members are word of mouth members, right? Either that or they found you on the internet. So there you go. Those are my thoughts to that first question. Kind of rambling there, a few different directions, but there you go.
All right, thank you, PJ. And now I'm going to throw in Bren here a little bit. Bren is my evaluator for the project tonight, but she also was thinking that she could be on the panel as well. And I had not actually planned for her to be on the panel. Sorry about that. But Bren, I'd like to ask you, in regards to what PJ just mentioned about having workshops, are there particular workshops that you think would be really good at drawing in some visitors? And have you had experience with doing some workshops like that?
I have. I know that in Tell Me a Story, we have a Teaching Tuesday once a month. And we always try and teach something that's relevant to speaking. And Thrill of the Quill, which I belong to, we also had something that was educational about writing. I think what you need to do is appeal to the selfish interest of people coming. Why do they come? They want to come because maybe they're scared of speaking. Maybe they have to make presentations at work. Their job is changing. I actually lead workshops professionally as my job. And I have one about interviews. I have one about cover letters. I have one about career mapping. If we can give them some real basic educational material that they're not paying for and they see how it served us, I could see that being very attractive.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. And one of the issues that always comes up is making sure that guests feel welcome when they come into a meeting. Because if somebody shows up at a meeting and nobody welcomes them, nobody talks to them, hi, Gail. If nobody says hi, then they're not going to feel welcome, not going to come back. You have any comments about that in terms of ways that are very helpful to welcome people? And you are still muted, Anne.
This is a topic I feel very strongly about because I used to visit a lot of clubs. I haven't really visited too many since I've been on Zoom, but I remember going to some clubs where they barely acknowledged you. They might have made me a name tag when I first came in, but I couldn't get anybody's attention to talk to them or anything. I think it's really important that everybody makes you feel welcome, makes you feel like they want you to be there. Some clubs, they did everything but, you know, they just are so friendly, it's unbelievable. And I think that's so important because recently I visited a Zoom club. I won't name it, but it was out of this country. And I went to it and the person that invited me didn't even acknowledge that I was there. And I left that club and I thought, I'm not going back again because what draws you in is when people do reach you. I've been to some clubs where they're so friendly. They talk to you, they find out what your interests are, they try to talk to you about what you really are excited about, and they make you feel welcome and they get your name and they contact you again. I could go on and on, but I'll pass it on to the next person.
All right, thank you, Anne. I agree. And Bob, one of the things that I've run into in trying to visit a number of other clubs is when I cannot even find the meeting information for how to visit the meeting. Have you run into that, or do you have ideas about how to make sure that that is resolved?
Yeah, I have. Being an area director, one of the first things I do is go to the website, click on the links on the Find a Club, see if I can find that club, and then introduce myself through that link and see what kind of a response I get from the president or the vice president of education, whoever it is. And that helps to set the tone for what I'm going to expect as an area director. And then it helps to shape the advice that I give that club. But yeah, that's very, very important. How you present yourself to the world is very important. First impressions, isn't that part of moments of truth? First impressions, that is absolutely key. What is somebody's impression when they first come into the club? Let me just digress a little bit on that, but it's still related. One thing that really turns me on is when I see speakers who are authentic. They're speaking from the heart. They're vulnerable. And a lot of people, a lot of new people feel very vulnerable. And if they see the speakers expressing that vulnerability and being evaluated appropriately and being just an all-around warm, embracing kind of a feeling, that is very attractive to new members.
All right, thank you, Bob. Now, Denise, I know you've worked on some ideas and plans, been involved in so many different clubs. I'd like to hear from you some of your thoughts and suggestions about ways that we can draw more people to come to the club that you've been looking at.
Okay. Well, one way to draw people to a club is to spend time developing a network. And that is done, as Anne has mentioned, through visiting other clubs, other Toastmasters clubs. And one of my persons in my network is Gail Hill Smith, past District 84 Division I Director. When you make these connections through District 84's Club Ambassador Program, District 101 has a Club Ambassadors Program, and you go and visit these other clubs, and you get on their contact list, and they get on your contact list, and you're sharing information with them. They come and visit different clubs, come and visit different events. My club in 101, they do workshops. That's their big feature. Once a month we do a workshop. I often tell people who are talking about having an open house to do a special event. The special event doesn't have to be an open house. It could be highlighting a guest speaker. It could be asking for people to contribute towards a workshop. However you decide to do it, whatever you choose to select as your theme and how you want to present it, make it interesting, colorful flyer, distribute it to that network and to the World Wide Web. And by doing so, you'll attract more people to your club. And keep it interesting. Pick a topic you know people are going to want to hear about. Membership is one of them, obviously. Another person on the panel mentioned doing workshops for getting a job. That has been used by several clubs and has worked very effectively. Others will do workshops on social media. District 101 has one on their last TLI, last weekend in August. They'll be doing a marketing and branding workshop to focus on social media. That helps you personally, it helps you in your business, it helps you for your Toastmasters clubs, for area and division directors to help their club officers, VP of PRs. All of those things are useful, and I suggest jumping aboard any social media wagon you can get on with Zoom and advertise your clubs. Think outside your box of a meeting place, of a physical location, and outside that box is the rest of the world. Being on Zoom or being a hybrid club gives you the opportunity to have members from all over. Intercontinental Advanced Toastmasters in District 101 is built on people from around the world. Literally, India, Bahrain, Malaysia, Japan, Taiwan, Canada, US, the Caribbean. Take your pick. We have guests from Australia, one considering joining, which we hope. It doesn't matter where they are. If you're interested in attracting members, make your meetings interesting, exciting, and fun, beneficial for those people, and they will come. And you invite them, they will come. When they come, ask them to join, and when they join and you continue making interesting, good meetings, then they will stay. Mr. Moderator, I turn the virtual lectern back to you.
All right, thank you, Denise. That's great thoughts. Now, this time I want to let everyone know you can raise your hand, either hit Alt-Y if you're using a PC or Option-Y if you're using a Mac. You can raise your hand if you have any particular questions that you'd like to ask. For our panelists, if you have any statements that you'd like to add at the time, you can go ahead and raise your hand as well, or else I'll call on you if we're looking for someone. But my next question right now is I wanted to ask PJ about experience with community events and tabling. That's another way that we get the word out and let people know about Toastmasters. Sometimes we get people to our clubs from that, sometimes not. But PJ, I want to hear your thoughts on tabling at events.
Okay, I've been involved in a number of different opportunities to have a table or a booth at events. The primary one for my home club, Babylon Toastmasters, is the Portland Pride Festival every year. We started Babylon at Metropolitan Community Church, which is primarily a church for gay and lesbian people. So it was a natural idea for us to go there to recruit new members. What we found is that repetition is important, and anybody who's been in sales and marketing understands this. You give people a message one time and they go, oh yeah, okay, thank you, nice. And then they forget about it. But if they hear it over and over again, so we were at the festival every single year. We had our booth, and we actually started having people look for us. They would come back and say, I talked to you people last year. You were so much fun. I thought I'd come back and talk to you again. And so then we would say, well, you should come to a meeting. And we used to get new members that way. We got 5 new members one year out of that. One of them went on to become a district director of District 7. That was Rose Wellman, for those of you who know Rose. So that is the primary one. I also helped out at, I think it was a career day or something they called it, at PCC, where I helped staff a table there. I helped staff the table at Oaks Park one year with you folks from the labor unions. And these are very good ways to get the word out about Toastmasters. So I guess that answers your question, Jim.
All right, yeah, thanks, PJ.
Follow-up?
Yeah, we've had tabling opportunities for this club at the Labor Day picnic every year. But last year and this year, that Labor Day picnic at Oaks Park is canceled, so we aren't able to do that this year. And wondering, do you have some other thoughts about places where we could maybe go to do this kind of outreach, trying to reach some more people to get them in? You are muted still, Ann.
I'm sorry, that's my worst habit with Zoom, is to not unmute. I don't have a specific idea of where you could go to have a table type thing set up, but my experience is a lot of times when I meet people in different locations, I try to see, I just naturally think about Toastmasters. It comes up without you really realizing it. Like, I used to donate blood to Red Cross a lot. I can't anymore, but I used to do it all the time. And when you're waiting there, you get to talk to people. And that's just one example. And there was a guy who I kept talking to and talking to and talking to, and finally he actually joined. That's another part of it, is when you do see people, you don't realize that maybe they can't do it today, but don't give up, because you don't know if they're going to be thinking about it and they want to, and maybe a year or two down the road they might join. Cleon Cox has told me about many times that it's taken him maybe 10 years before somebody that he's talked to joins. So don't give up. That would be my other part.
All right, thank you, Anne. Denise, I believe you have something else to add.
Yes, thank you. A model that was shared with me by Melissa McGavick, Region 6 International Director, is very effective for finding members, for finding guests to convert to members. Contact your local chamber of business. Find out what events they have going on. It could be a luncheon. Go join them. I know in District 84, in one club, the member there joins the local chamber of commerce and goes to their luncheons, and she talks up Toastmaster. You can also find businesses there that you might want to attract to your club in your location. When you go and find different businesses online, send out an invitation to your club. If it's a corporate club, then you want to go internal, advertise to your various members internally, wherever they happen to be. Go online and look for members as well. But one of the things that I did was combine all this information into a spreadsheet, set up the flyer, do an email script to send out to these businesses and people. Include your Rotary clubs. Find out when they're speaking. Ask to speak at a Rotary club. Invite them to your club. And then once you send the script out, you want to follow Patty Thor's example of inviting everyone you can think of to your Toastmasters meeting. Write down everyone you think you cannot find that would find any kind of benefit to Toastmasters. Then invite everybody else. If you invite them, they will come.
All right, thank you, Denise. Ellen, you have your hand up. Do you have a question or a comment?
If you look at it from a campaign point of view, Jim knows this, but not many folks know. I haven't shared this with a lot of folks. I have a 5-inch binder for the entire state of Oregon. Each county has a list of all the Granges, all of the community clubs, such as the Chamber of Commerce, neighborhood associations in the cities, who the elected officials are, who's the head of the bloody little leagues, all of the school boards. Yes, I used to keep this up, this huge binder. I had all of the Eagles, the Elks, the Veterans of Foreign War, every single community club type that you could think of. And when someone became one of my candidates, they had access to my 5-inch binder notebook. It not only had the home addresses of all of these leaders in the communities, it had their email back when a lot of people didn't know that. I had their landline, and if they had a cell phone. I encourage every candidate that I've worked for to have a volunteer intake sheet that asked, are you a Little League coach? Are your kids at school? What school are they at? Are you a member of Lions? Are you a blood donor for Red Cross? Are you part of the Red Cross response team? Where did you graduate? From what school? And all of the nasty little details people think I am horrible at. I even went into what church, synagogue, etc., you belong to. Why? Because a political candidate cannot just walk in there. Now, it's easy for a Toastmaster to just walk in there, but really, in order to get a foothold in any one of these community organizations, you need someone to walk you in. So Toastmasters, start making your own personal bloody binder and get yourself walked into some of those community groups. Because I'm retired and I haven't updated that binder for 4 years.
All right, thank you, Ellen. And now the time is running out on this panel, but I do want to ask for one last comment from Bob, because I know that we had a discussion about this before, and so I thought I'd ask you about this. One of the issues that we sometimes run into is we're asking the same people over and over again. We're actually inviting people who are Toastmasters to come to our Toastmasters meeting. How do we make sure we're inviting new people instead of the same people?
Well, that's a really good question. Well, you want me to add to what Ellen just said? I can't top what she just did. I don't have a 5-inch binder. But that is an awesome idea when you think about it. I think well, the VP of membership ought to consider doing something like that. If they're going to do the job and do it well, yeah, you've got to have an outreach into unorthodox areas. You know, I talked to somebody today about Toastmasters. So I got a meeting tonight at 7 o'clock. I can't do this. For Toastmasters, and they said, well, what's Toastmasters? They give me an opportunity to talk about it. You know, you find opportunities to talk about Toastmasters. You can do it in the line at the grocery store. You wear a button that says Toastmasters, and then you strike up a conversation with somebody. There are all sorts of, but you got to work at it. I mean, it's not. Denise said you have to invite people, and inviting people is an active verb. You've got to work. It takes work, a lot of work to do that. It also takes a thick skin, because a lot of people are going to say no. You're going to take rejection too. That's my 2 cents.
All right, great. Thank you, Bob. I want to thank all of our panelists, Bob, PJ, Denise, Ann, thank you. And Bryn, thank you for putting in as well. And Ellen, thank you for adding your comments. I really appreciate everyone being here. Now, that concludes the panel, and I will return control to our Toastmaster, Chuck, but this will not end the discussion for this topic. We will continue this discussion on in future meetings.